Hello, and thank you for checking out 1851 Franchise's top franchise brokers of 2023. I'm Jeff Dwyer, and today I'm joined by Tracy Rickman, a franchise consultant with FranNet. Tracy, thanks so much for joining us today.
Jeff, thanks for having me. It's quite an honor.
Absolutely. Well, Tracy, I want to just get into it. We're all curious about the ins and outs of your brokerage experience. So can you please tell us, just right to get started here, what makes you successful as a franchise broker?
I think I'm successful because I was a client. So I actually started as a client of a different broker who was investigating business ownership. I knew what business ownership was. My husband owned an insurance agency, and it was time for me to make the transition from corporate America to owning my business as well. When someone called me from FranNet, I almost hung up on him. I thought franchising was fast food and 1 hour martinizing. Like, I had no idea what the industry was. And I'm a chemist by degree. So when they reached me, like, okay, well, what kind of franchises are there for chemists? And I didn't realize how much came down to transferable business sets, skills, those skills and how they transition into business ownership. And I really wanted to have a lifestyle in addition to a business. And I think that's what makes me good is I really focus first and foremost on someone's lifestyle. Why are we doing this, right? So a lot of times people are doing it to replace a job or build another income stream. But what do we want the business to do for us? And I start there first. And then we start narrowing down the franchises.
Excellent. So it seems like you would have the perfect experience helping someone else sort of get involved in the franchise space, for their very first time, because you've been through that. And yeah. You've just got so much interesting experience to kind of relate to with just about any client, it seems like, especially as a chemist. That's so unique, right?
Yeah, we definitely drink the Kool-Aid.
So tell me, what advice would you have for people wanting to become franchise owners for the first time?
First off, don't fall in love with the product. Fall in love with the role of the owner. If you would have told me 20 years ago I'd own my own business, I'd believe you. Always wanted to own a business since I was a little girl playing in my grandpa's home office. If you told me it's a franchise, I would have thought it was like Dairy Queen or ice cream because I love ice cream. But the role of the owner is very different from what the product or the service is. So we need to make sure that when you're starting to look at the business, fall in love with the role of the owner. Fall in love with the business, what you're going to do every day, and the lifestyle it's going to afford you.
Well, I think we all can relate. Who doesn't love ice cream, right?
Right. I really worry about you if you don't.
So tell me, what does winning look like for you?
For me, winning is when I see clients or talk to them, a year or two later or 15 years later, and they're still happy. And they say that they're so happy that they've met me. So winning is those referrals from past clients, knowing that I did a good job for them and they're trusting me with their friends to look at business ownership.
Excellent. So I know you work hand in hand with many franchisors, but tell me, so what advice would you have for franchisors who may want your help on awarding more franchisees?
I would say be discerning. It's not about rapid, huge growth. It's about the right franchisees who have the same values and want to grow the same as you. Less headache in the long term, a lot more happy franchisees, which leads to better validation and franchisor growth.
And I mean, you just mentioned it. That's why they come back those 15 years later and say, hey, Tracy, thank you so much for what you did and who you put us in touch with, right? Because that's part of the process for you is understanding what works and what doesn't work for your clients and the franchise, on both aspects.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a partnership, right, between the franchisor and the franchisee. And a lot of people don't see it that way, at least not in the beginning. So it's a great way for growth.
Excellent. How can franchisors better communicate with you?
We do pretty good at FranNet. We have a lot of systems in place, email, phone, text message, depends on, where we are and what the problem is with the client. So it's really just about communication, right? It's about the right fit for the client. So if the client's missing something, reach out, let us know. Let us figure out what we can do to help on our side. And especially as you're getting into fear, right? So franchise ownership is always so fun. I always say it's kind of like the horror movie, right? In the beginning, we're all at, Friday the 13th. We're all at the camp. We're having fun with our friends. Then somebody disappears and it's like, oh, look at that. And then there's dead bodies. And then there's this fear. And that looking at business ownership is very similar. It's real exciting in the beginning. Closer we get to the finish line, there's fear. So I'm like, communicate. So talk to us. Let us know what the client's feeling. We're talking to the client at least once a week. Let us go back and forth and kind of make sure that the client's making a decision, whether it be yes or no, based on facts and not the fear of the movie.
Excellent. Well, I will say I have never heard someone relate franchising to Friday the 13th, but it makes sense. So well said.
It's my good little analogy.
I loved it. Well, Tracy, that was very insightful. That's really all the questions we had for you today. Thank you again for joining us, and I want to wish you a congratulations on your nomination.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much.